So Dylan, for our next dish, what are we gonna try?
We're gonna try some of our homemade seitan.
What's seitan?
It's just a special gluten, and then water, and then it's just slow cooked or baked or oiled into whatever you want, depending on how you like your food.
Nice. All right, so how do we start with that?
Well, a lot of people ask me how to make seitan. Some people say that this is actually a really, really old recipe from the Buddhists, because the Buddhists don't eat animals, but they love the taste of them, as we do, as do all of us. Tasty animals. So they created this, this medium that can be formed or shaped into various meaty kinds of things. So if you go to a vegetarian restaurant that is Chinese, or there's one in Boston, I believe, called My Thai Vegan, and all of the food that they serve there is vegetable-based meat analogs. And a lot of them have the base with seitan.
So they're trying to imitate a meat.
That's correct. And so what I like it for is, it doesn't have to taste like meat, but it gives you it gives you tons of protein, and it gives you sort of a mouthfeel, and you can do a lot of the same things with it. You can barbecue it, as Dylan said, you could bake it, you can make it into different things and give it different flavors.
Can you play with the shapes?
You can play with the shapes.
Well, so you can make vegan McNuggets or
You
something.
could make vegan McNuggets.
Okay.
Absolutely. And the process is this. So when you go to the store and you see on the shelves different kinds of flour, and you'll see a pastry flour, for example, and a pastry flour has less gluten in it, right? Yep. And therefore, you're going to get what?
Like not as thick,
and more
chewy.
Right, and more flaky.
Yeah.
So you've got the pastry flours that have the least amount of gluten in them, and then you have the bread flours, which have more gluten in them. And what you get from a bread flour is more of that chewiness that you want in a bread. Then you go to the furthest extreme, which is a vital wheat gluten.
Okay.
So the gluten is what makes the breads more chewy, they hold together more, and so therefore the more gluten you have, the more dense you're going to get. So essentially what we're doing is making something that's going to look like a bread dough, but then we're going to be able to process it any way we like. And in this case, we're going to cook it in a slow cooker.
So we're going for the densest possible.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's about the same balance, or what do I say, equal portions of dry and liquid.
Okay.
One thing I will mention about this particular flour is it's very sticky, and if you get it on any surface and then you try to wipe it with something wet, it's all over the place. So be careful with this stuff.
Oh.
So we're going to take that. Guess what we're going to put in here?
Nutritional yeast.
Yes!
Yay!
Not absolutely required, but since Michael likes this so much, we're going to put some in.
We're getting almost 2 scoops.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to like this.
Yeah. And then again, flavoring now. I love poultry seasoning. You mentioned the Old Bay, which sort of smacks of the crab, you know, all the flavorings used in the crabs from Maryland. Well, this is a real basic seasoning, and what you're going to get from this is the flavors that you remember or expect from stuffing, from Thanksgiving, from turkey or chicken, you know, those kind of things. Exactly. Exactly. You're going to smell the thyme, you're going to get all of those kind of flavors.
Okay.
And that's going to enhance the dish. Onions, garlic, they're sort of a base for pretty much anything, right? So you put a little onion powder, a little garlic powder. I mean, if you want to get fancy and you have the time and you want to use really finely chopped fresh, that's fine too. I don't feel it's necessary when you're making something like this. If I was to make a dish that I was sauteing, I would absolutely use the fresh stuff.
Okay.
But we're using this primarily for seasoning, for flavor, so it's not as big a deal. So this is the dry portion, and that needs to be mixed up really well, because once you put the liquid in, you can't add anything in. If you started to try to put something dry in, it wouldn't be able to blend, and you'll see that in a second. So I'm going to have my handsome assistant, Dylan, mix this up so that it's all well combined. And in the meantime, we're going to do the liquid portion. So the liquid is made up of vegetable broth, soy or tamari.
What's tamari?
Tamari is, I like to think of it as a higher quality soy sauce.
Okay.
You can get it gluten-free. Some tamari is wheat-based, so people are, if you're gluten intolerant, you want to be careful with tamari, but you can get a gluten-free one. It's richer. To me, it's kind of like the difference between a good wine and not so good a wine. Tamari has more richness to it. It's denser,
I see.
more flavorful.
But if you're going to be putting that into a bowl of gluten, you don't really...
I mean, I prefer tamari in general. I think it has a richer flavor. So we've got a good vegetable broth. I like, again, when I'm doing quick cooking, I use good high quality bouillon cubes, either the vegetable base or there's one called unchicken or no chicken.
Okay.
So it has all the flavors but without the actual chicken in it. And that's what I use for this because we're going for sort of a chicken-y kind of deal here.
I see.
There's also some olive oil in here and some tomato paste. And that is going to make up the liquid ingredients. That looks fantastic. Looks super well blended.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So we're going to pour the liquid in. And I just reserve a little bit of the liquid because I want to make sure that
Oh, wow, it turns
it's
pretty
not
gummy
too
right
wet
away.
really quickly. Now, a lot of the kneading process when you make a bread is to access all of the gluten. So in this case, because it's primarily gluten, there's not as much kneading required, but I still recommend doing some kneading just to get it all really well combined.
Yeah, it looks like hand mixing would be the easiest way to do that.
But you can see how this is turning out. So we've got, essentially this looks like a bread dough.
Looks like bread dough, yeah.
Exactly. And I'm going to keep kneading it until all of the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients are combined. And then I'm going to let it rest for 5 minutes or so. Now, we use a slow cooker here for a couple reasons. One is because we don't have a stove. That's the obvious reason. So all we have for our cooking here is a slow cooker. We also have like a soup warmer cooker, but we don't have an actual stovetop.
Oh.
But what I have found is doing a slow cooked seitan actually makes it more tender. So we're just going to hang out for the next 4 hours or so. Just kidding. We're going to put this in the pot, but then we're obviously not going to be able to take it out because it's going to take a little while.
So you knead it like that, let it sit for a few minutes, and then it goes into the slow cooker for 4 hours?
Correct. You put it in a broth, and it's already hot, and then it's going to cook, and when it's cooked through, it'll float to the top. So it kind of sits heavy in the pot until it's finished.
Like a gnocchi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
When it's done, it floats.
That's correct.
That's easy.
That's correct.
And does it submerge in a big pot of the broth? Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to take this, and I already have my broth, and I'm just going to stick it in there. And it will expand quite a bit too. It'll probably double in size when it's done.
Because it's sucking up all that liquid.
Correct.
I see.
Correct. Once it's done, so do you want to grab the seitan off of the line? Once it's done, you can process it in various ways. One of the things we do here at the cafe is we slice it, we grill it, and then we coat it with barbecue sauce.
Looks like meatloaf.
Yeah, it's a little bit denser than that. And I will tell you right now that when it's cold like this, it's not going to have the same tenderness that we really want to go for. But you can at least get a sense of the flavor and the texture.
Thank you. It's like meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's chewy just like meat.
Camera
Yeah,
lady.
take a look at it. Oh, the cameraman's hungry. I see why you did that.
Yes.
So it's sort of a tofu in a way that it just holds a flavor as well.
Yeah, I think when you compare them, is it okay?
We changed,
little-
we changed the sauce, right?
Yeah, it's a little tougher than normal. It has much more of a meaty texture than tofu. I think tofu is quite soft.
Yes.
Tofu is almost like eggy in a sense. And you know, if you fry it, if you do certain things, it will get a little stiffer. But this will actually get to a much more dense or meaty consistency. That sort of heartiness that people expect from meat.
I like really spicy food. I could totally see putting lots of spice in that.
Oh, absolutely. You could do some sort of buffalo wing kind of deal where you would put hot sauce on it. We do, my husband Steven, who's going to be coming in and joining us in a moment, he does a really nice seitan loaf. He puts a homemade stuffing inside and bakes it so it has that sort of quality to it. What else have we done with seitan? I'm trying to think.
So we've barbecued it. We grilled it.
We grilled it, that's
Yeah,
right,
On the open fire.
on an open fire, which was really delicious as well.
Oh, it'll hold up on a
yeah.
on a grill?
Absolutely. So that is our seitan.
And how long will this last for freshness?
Again, if you're gonna keep it without cooking it, you want to keep it in the broth. So if you're gonna store it in the refrigerator, like once it comes out here, save the broth, keep it in the broth. It freezes beautifully, so it doesn't shift as much. Tofu changes texture a lot. The only thing that happens when you freeze seitan is it gets a little more tender, which is really nice.
That's good.
Absolutely.
But when you freeze it, do you need to have it in a liquid bath?
No.
So you just take the seitan, put it in the freezer.
Correct. And then you can make it into various things, whatever you want to use it for.
Nice. I like that one. I would like it with spicy.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's the nice thing about it. It can hold pretty much any flavor, any sauce. You can fry it, you can bake it, whatever you want to do to it.
So that was pretty quick and easy, except for the time to cook it, but there's really
Yeah.
no...
The other thing I love about a slow cooker is that you don't have to pay attention to it. If you put something on the stove, you got to worry about, oh, did I leave the stove on? A slow cooker's wonderful. It's very old-fashioned. I remember when I was growing up, every kid's mom had a slow cooker, what they used to call a crock pot.
Right.
Right? And they'd put it on in the morning, they'd go to work or whatever, and then they'd come home and dinner was ready, usually a pot roast or whatever, right? What I'm finding with a slow cooker is that it just makes everything so much easier. I can put things in there, put the timer on, I walk away, I don't have to worry about it.
Nice,
So it's
I like
really,
that.
really nice.
Very nice. Well, I think we might be ready to
Bring the
eat
family.
the fruits of our labor. Bring the
Fantastic.
family in.
So Stephen, Devin, you want to come on in and bring some of the food back that we made so we can sample and
I'll
taste.
clear the table.
This is our first venture as a family into the restaurant business. We fell into it slightly unwillingly, or unwittingly, I should say.
How did that happen?
Well, what happened was we wanted to have a vegan cafe in the front of our house, so to speak. This is also a yoga studio. And we had talked to various people about running this vegan restaurant, and none of those things really worked out. And so we finally just decided to do it ourselves. So we've taken all of our family recipes that we've been working on and perfecting and started making them. And as we grow, we add on. And so we are at the point now where we are open 7 days a week and we're serving all vegan food.
Wow, you're open 7 days a week.
We are.
So when do you go on vacation?
Well, we just came back from vacation. That never stops us from going on vacation.
Well, I'm glad you're relaxing. You don't want to burn out.
No, we have wonderful staff and we have wonderful managers, and but we're really enjoying this. We're all very interested in hospitality. We've always had parties at our house and people at our house for dinner pretty much every night, so this is just an extension of our home.
Well, thank you for having us. The food's delicious, and I hope I can have a to-go goodie bag.
Of course you can.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So this is Steven, my husband, Dylan, my son, and Devin, my son, and I'm Mimi, and we own O2 Vegan Cafe. Thank you so much, Michael.
So thank you for tuning in to the Wisdom to Wellness Show, and we will see you next time. Good night.
Night.
Good night.